Welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Hopefully I fix the audio issues. We'll see if I get that reverberation going. Neck hurts, so comfy neck pillow. Some of the best times I have had as a player in role-playing games have been in the Cyberpunk genre. Artelsorian Cyberpunk 2020, GURPS Cyberpunk, elements of Rifts. You get that style is better than style over substance, metal is better than meat, life is cheap, low life, high tech elements together, and something happens. You get these fascinating characters. You have to consider how much of your body has been replaced with metal and circuitry, and how that's making you react to the rest of humanity. You try and find a niche for that character to fit into as part of the establishment, as a corporate or a cop or a counter-establishment, as a rocker or a ganger of some sort. Maybe you're just a solo trying to work your way through things, or the media trying to bring out the truth. Blade Runner, Max Headroom. I'm a big fan of the genre and of making up characters and driving them into horrible, horrible danger. I'm not as big of a fantasy player. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I've run Dungeons and Dragons. I can run a pretty good Dungeons and Dragons game, but it's not my first genre. Sci-fi is my first genre. Cyberpunk's got to come a really close second. And then things where stuff gets mixed up right after that. I'm a child of the 80s. Well, 70s and 80s. I was born in 68. So, of those just ingenious, phenomenal, bat stuff, crazy movies and television shows. Glenn A. Larceny, as I like to call it. Knight Rider and Manimal, Automan, Misfits of Science. There's all this action that has no real reason to happen. It's not how real people deal with problems at all, but driving fast and shooting guns and making one-liners. Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk 2020 was one of the best role-playing books that ever happened to me. Bar none, because it opened up so many possibilities. And at the time that I was first playing it, that stuff was spot on. You didn't know the future wasn't going to go that way. And in some ways, it has. A lot of the technology they talked about has been either bypassed or subverted. The phones that you have in Cyberpunk 2020 are these big, clunky, folding cell phone affairs that, they had no idea that by this time I'd have a smartphone yay big that has more computing power than sent man to the moon in the 60s. We don't have a worldwide virtual computer network, so I put on goggles or plug into my head and see everything in brilliant 3D graphics against a glowing green grid work. It's all command line and Unix if I want to do that sort of thing. We're getting to the point where the prosthetics are close. Surprisingly, we've had a few wars and people have come back without some limbs, and we have stepped up our prosthetic technology. We're getting to the point where stuff can be controlled by direct nerve transmission, and where we are developing self-healing materials and mechanical sense of touch. It's almost 2020. I don't want to play Cyberpunk less. Now I want to play it more because now it's alternate history. Now it's what that 80s future could have been. It's sort of a retro futurism. I think that'd work good for other periods in time too. Cyberpunk, go 10 years before that, and you can have disco punk. Can you imagine all those cyberpunk elements but with disco styling? Or a few years before that, diesel punk or aerospace boom punk. Take a section of history and look at where the future was going to go from there. Step back and break society a little bit. Run around in it. Shoot some things. Cyberpunk's amazingly inspirational. I've tried to include a bunch of cyberpunk elements in works that we've done. DeCorum Unlimited. Hot Chicks had a strong cyberpunk influence to it. Destiny 2025 is also going to be there. More of a transhumanist element, but you're going to have that element of society. Metal's better than meat. Style over substance. Life is cheap. Low life, high tech. That's a perfect salad for action and adventure and doing things that, man, player characters in cyberpunk games are some crazy, crazy people. Just sitting around a table with a bunch of people coming up with characters. You're going to have some good times just doing that. From the mnemonic courier, who's the expert driver, to the medic who happens to fence Florentine with chainsaws. Ex-military assassin and the street-level netrunner who's so good that they can use computers that you buy at Walmart to break the security on banks. You can go a number of different levels with Cyberpunk 2. You can go street level and you're just trying to stay alive, and maybe you're trying to fight the good fight, or maybe you're just trying to fight. Maybe you're a gang trying to keep territory, or maybe you're a street samurai trying to protect the homeless and downtrodden. But underneath that veneer of running around and beating things up and shooting stuff, there's always a deeper social commentary. You don't have to go there, but you can. Why are there homeless? Why is this place being divided up by gangs? Where are the police? Who cares about those people that are all around you in this, who are also just trying to stay alive, who are all too often just collateral damage? Where's that person that was on the street corner 2 days ago and now no one's ever going to see them again? What's happening to this lower level of society that's just kind of sinking into the sewer and vanishing? And why are the people in the suits on the top floors of these buildings laughing so much about it? Well, primarily because they're movie villains and they want to make you angry enough that you're going to go up in that building and blow stuff up. But it's still an interesting level to look at from some point down. For a cyberpunk group to get far enough ahead with just staying alive and keeping what is theirs, to looking at, well, maybe there's a deeper issue and maybe we can do something about it. that's a really good moment as a game master and as a player to look at this and go, well, we've done the base level adventuring, but the society needs something to change. I don't know. Can we do that? I've broken societies in cyberpunk games as a game master and as a player. I've taken those elements of cyberpunk, low life, high technology, metal is better than meat, style over substance, and imported them into other genres. Whether it was appropriate or not, I like to mix things up. And the thing of it is, you throw those things together, and if you've got a player character in there with a sense of social justice, with a sense of right over wrong, with a moral or ethical sense that exceeds simply surviving, which is a really great thing for a cyberpunk hero to have, or an edge runner. Maybe there's a deeper reason. Maybe you want to protect people. Or one person in particular, but society's going to hurt them. Then you have character versus society. And that's a great and terrible place for a character to be at. It means that they're either going to throw themselves at something that they're just never going to beat. But this is a player character in a role-playing game. And I'm involved on one side or the other, so something's going to break. This is why I love Cyberpunk. Because that's what you get to do. It is a privilege to be a player character in a cyberpunk game, or to run player characters through a cyberpunk game, because you're not going to tell a small story. There are no small stories in cyberpunk. There are little events. There's, street crimes and thuggery of all sorts, but then there's organ legging and corporate malfeasance of genocidal proportions. There's killer cyborgs and ninjas on motorcycles, and you can have small events. They're all big stories. They all mean something. Even if the characters involved never think about it, if they don't look at this as wow, this could be a big thing, we're making some real change, even if they don't go there, that doesn't mean that there isn't a deeper meaning. That guy that you killed because he was doing terrible things to those people over there, well, that guy worked for that corporation and he was under orders to do that, and now they're mad at you, and now you've got a bigger problem. And everything can snowball and escalate until there's just chaos and mayhem and amazing role-playing. I'm probably going to dredge up some of my old cyberpunk stories and talk about those in the future, but this is why I have cyberpunk stories. Why I want to tell more cyberpunk stories. I mean, like a lot of them. Don't tell the people I'm playing with right now. But I have been sliding on game mastering duties for like months. I've been playing a lot. The Dragon Star game and the Fallout 4 game on Wednesday nights, and the Saturday, the alternate Saturday games. Vic's Resident Evil run has been amazing, and I've been playing. I've not been running, and it's about time I do some more game mastering, because I want to make some more stories happen. I'd be interested in knowing what folks who are watching this would play in the Cyberpunk game. Your favorite characters, favorite classes. I'd be interested in running a game online at some point in time. I need to work on my Roll20 and I've got the advanced account, I think, still, and I hate to not use stuff I've got, because I'm starting to have things in my head again that I want to throw. I want to see people running around in the real estate behind my eyes and breaking it. I don't know if the next game I'm going to run is going to be a Cyberpunk game strictly, but it's certainly going to have some of that in it, because that's one of my favorite genres for tipping the apple cart over. I don't want to see everything run smoothly and nicely and for nothing to get broken. I want to see some stuff break. I want to see what player characters can bring to the table against implacable semi-mechanical odds. Let's see how deep I can get people interested in the societal problems as opposed to just the personal problems. And yeah, I'd like there to be a certain amount of concern about day-to-day survival. At the same time, I'd like there to be a certain amount of concern about the society in general. I like me a good, deep game. I also like a lot of running around and beating things up and explosions. I like to cross a little Shakespeare and a little Glenn A. Larson, sprinkle in some Michael Bay. I want depth. And I want explosions. Maybe a Muppet or two. Thank you for following me along in this particular ramble as I'm putting my head together on stuff I want to do in the near future. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you have an idea of what you would play in a Cyberpunk game or what kind of stuff you'd want to see happen in a Cyberpunk game, leave me a comment. You'll love leaving me a comment. I'll love getting one. Questions, comments, stuff you want to hear me talk about, comment. If you'd like to see these videos as soon as they come out, I invite you to subscribe. Of course, I'd like you to subscribe no matter what. If you do subscribe, go ahead and hit the little notification bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification when my videos come out. If you'd be interested in helping me out in some way, I invite you to hit me up my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/DeCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps and allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum, this is What Has Mattered to Me, and I'll speak to you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.